Today, I want to ask you, primarily the betrayed spouse, a question. It's not a loaded question. It's a question that I think you have to ask yourself in the deep, dark, inner recesses of your mind and in your heart. You have to ask yourself this, and I don't even know that you would tell anybody except maybe an expert therapist or an extremely close friend. My question to you is, are you attached to an outcome for your situation? It is a resetting question. Now, if you and your unfaithful spouse are on the same page and you feel like you both want restoration and you both are willing to do whatever it takes and you both are willing to fight through the seasons, the ups and downs, the difficulties, the challenges, all of that, then I applaud you, and you should be attached to an outcome. You're attached to the outcome of restoration and healing and redemption, whatever that looks like, and however you need to get there, you're willing to get there. It really works. You should be attached to the outcome of restoration and healing. For the betrayed spouse who is dealing with an ambivalent, unfaithful spouse, it's a completely different ballgame. It is radically different. And so that's what I want to hone in on today, which is the betrayed spouse who has an unfaithful spouse who is back and forth, or ambivalent, or you're not even sure. Here's some reasons why I want to challenge you to maybe detach from the outcome that you're attached to. Number one, when we are attached to an outcome, we become somewhat stubborn. We become very focused on the outcome that we want, and we'll start to overlook some bright red flags. We'll start to overlook some things that are huge concerns about going forward. We'll overlook them because we're so attached to this outcome, we don't really see objectively that A, they're not very committed to recovery, B, they're not really dedicated to disclosing all of the information. C, they're not willing to change the way that they're living with an open lifestyle and having no accounted for time. D, there isn't really a change in their behavior. They're just saying that they want to pursue restoration. Secondly, when we are attached to an outcome, we don't see clearly, and I know I said a lot about that already, but what I want to kind of hone in on is that we don't hear objective voices objectively. We start to label them and say, well, you just don't like my spouse, or oh, you just this, or well, you're not someone who believes in my spouse, or you can't see clearly, or no, we can't really hear objectively. We can sit in a situation with, and I've seen people do it with Rick, who is, I'm sorry, the best in the nation when it comes to infidelity and helping couples heal. I've seen people in situations say, well, I appreciate that, Rick, but I'm not going to do that. And Rick is very gracious and says, okay, well then let's move on to plan B, but I'm wanting you to know, I think plan A is the best way to do it after 32 years of practical experience. So we begin to become unable to hear things objectively because we're so committed and attached to one particular outcome. Thirdly, and this is the darkest one, I think, when we're committed to an outcome and our spouse is ambivalent, they know that we're committed to an outcome as a betrayed spouse. And incidentally, I'm just being situational with you. I'm not trying to say that I know everything that there is to being a betrayed spouse, because I am not. I'm a former unfaithful spouse. But I am with you in your pain, and I do see these situations every single day, all day. And so when a betrayed spouse is attached to an outcome, let's say it's I'm attached to the we're going to save our marriage outcome no matter what. The unfaithful spouse who's ambivalent knows it. They see it, and they'll use it against you. Yes, I said that. They will use it against you. Knowingly or unknowingly, they will do things because they'll do things a certain way because they know that you're so attached to restoration, you will overlook it, you will minimize it, you'll not care about it, you just want restoration, and they know that you're so committed to an outcome, they will push the envelope, they'll do this, they'll do that, because there isn't a fear, there isn't a reverence, there isn't a healthy fear of consequences or loss. There's no resistance inside of them that comes from, oh man, if I do this, she will do that, and I could lose restoration. No, there's a, well, I know she wants to save the marriage, or I know he wants to save it, so they'll overlook this. I'm going to do what I want to do. It'll all work out. So, when both spouses are committed to the same outcome, and they're in it completely, it's wonderful. When one spouse is not committed, primarily the unfaithful spouse, and the betrayed spouse is still attached to a certain outcome, it really can be damaging. It can really be conflicting, and I hope you'll reevaluate that today.